You know, you got this fantasy in your head about getting out of the life and setting the corporate world on its ear. What the fuck you gonna do except hustle? Besides pimping, you really ain't got the stomach for that.
Take it away.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Akeem. I'm the marketing rep for the book. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is a pleasure of mine to have this sit down with Young Guru. You hear his name on every record, you're like, okay, this guy's a superstar. You probably never meet him. But yeah, he's regular just like us. He's a great guy. I'm glad he's here. So we're gonna start it off like that. Usually I do these interviews, usually real small, by the favorite couch over here. But for him, it was something special. So my first question I ask everybody is, who is Young Guru?
I mean, that's hard to define. There's a lot more music to me. The name Young Guru comes from, I actually got caught when the Tommy Hilfiger was real popping. Strawberry and Coley like messed up and like put him by the door. And so I had to go in, right? And it was actually records that got me caught because I had bought some records earlier that day, went to the mall, and back then records was in a little brown bag. So I'm like bending down trying to stuff the Tommies into my other bag. And I got out the mall, but then like 4 cops chased me down, got me in the back, and it was like, we basically heard your record bag crumbling, putting all these Tommies in there. So long story short, I had to do community service. I was working at this place in Delaware called People's Settlement, teaching African history. So before that, I had a bunch of whack DJ names or whatever, and one of the kids was, asking me what a guru meant. So I was explaining that to them, and they were like, well, you're our guru. So I just kept that name. That's basically where it came from.
Another question, what inspires you to do music or be involved in music? Or why is it part of your life?
I always loved music, period, but it was like, I was born in 1974, right? I'm 37 years old, so I remember a time when hip hop wasn't around, or when hip hop was like this real small thing. You had to go to real specific places to hear hip hop or to be a part of it, and we were a subculture. So it was like music always been in my life, but when hip hop came around, it was just like the light went off. Like, that's me to the T. That's exactly me. Like, this whole thing is me. Like, every part of it, from the music to the b-boys to the graffiti to all facets of hip hop, I was just in love with. And I was just like, I didn't care what nobody else thought about it. I was kind of happy that nobody else was up on it, because it was just like our thing. So it's just, music is this universal language that no matter where you go on the planet, everybody loves music. So there's so many different facets. There's facets of putting it together that fascinates me. There's facets of just listening that fascinates me. And then just everywhere you go, people got different rhythms. And it's weird that, I could have one drum set and give it to 10 different people and get all these different results. It's crazy.
Being that you're behind the music, and you developed a lot of New York sound, a lot of big New York records. Where did you grow up, though?
Alright, I can get this straight, like once and for all, because everybody always gets this messed up. I was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm very proud to be from that area. It's a very small place. It's a great place to raise kids. It's like a real tight-knit community, especially when I grew up. The way my mother and father, I was blessed enough that my mother and father was in the household. I got a real strong father, like super strong father figure. Not loud, but real strong and quiet, like one of them type of dudes. In my community, I was raised by a lot of men, like my father's friends, my mother's friends, husbands. Like when dudes, like I ain't have no male role models. That's completely foreign to me, because I had like 20. Just the whole community, raised me. So coming from Delaware, my mother's from North New Jersey, my father's from Southeast Washington, D.C. So I was going back and forth my whole life, just soaking up flavor from both places. Yeah, so like, DC back then was just super go. It's still super go-go, but DC back then, like go-go was like, DC is this place that don't care about what nobody else think about them. right? That's just how DC is. It's not Southern, it's not Northern, it's just DC. So it's like that influence along with North New Jersey, where our version of house music has always been big. So, you know, those two cities are second homes to me because I got family in Jersey, family in DC, lifelong friends in both places, but I'm from Wilmington, Delaware.
Being that you work with so many artists, who's your favorite artist to work with, and who are you looking forward to working with? Young artists looking forward to working with.
It's hard to say who the favorite artist is that I've ever worked with. I just like working with different people for different reasons. I mean, people always jump to Jay, and obviously Jay because he's such a professional, he's so good at it, and I don't think people will really understand how hard he works at his music. Because of his persona, his image, it looks like, okay, this is just...
Makes it look easy.
Yeah, he makes it look real easy, but he probably scrutinizes his music more than any other artist I've ever dealt with. I mean, he's a pleasure for a lot of reasons, but it's, you know, it's you get pleasure out of working with a bunch of different people. I mean, if you want to keep it funky, the session when I was on groupie mode was my De La Soul sessions. Like, those was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in here like with Pops, we're really making a record. Like, we're cool, those are my dudes, but I never made music with them until Grinding. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm in here doing this. De La Soul is probably my favorite group of all time next to Gangstar.
Since we're on the subject of favorites, I watched last night, did a lot of research about you, things I didn't know, but then I found out you have a favorite person that you kind of look up to or you kind of look at. DJ.
Yo, as much as I love that song, like, I was so mad at Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince when Home Base came out, because that was the only song on there. And I'm such a fan of them. I was like, oh, they back. I'm about to, like, you gotta remember, like, me growing up in Delaware, Philadelphia artists were like our local heroes. So you can imagine me being in 7th grade before Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince is famous, going to house parties and Jeff is doing the party. And it's Fresh Prince on the microphone, it's Ray Roxy on the microphone. So it's like, there's no words to describe watching Jeff at that age. Because he, you know, a lot of DJs can scratch, a lot of DJs dope in one or two things. Jeff would like, his To Be Real in the middle of the party, he's killing it. But you never lose your step with the girl in front of you. And that was the key thing, like his timing was just impeccable. Like, and not even on some practice. I've seen somebody walk up to him and just hand him a brand new record and he just totally destroyed the record in the middle of the party. So I was that kid, like, if the turntables was here, I was like right there. Like, you would have thought I came with Jeff and I wouldn't move. Like, I wasn't concerned with girls, I wasn't concerned with, you know, when you're that age, that's your first little taste of alcohol, your first little taste of whatever. I was not concerned with none of that. Like, Jeff was so amazing to me and what he was doing with turntables that I just, every time I could see him, I would just go and just stare at him for hours and hours and hours. And just, he's a cool dude. He never got too gassed. He always stayed with what made him happy, even when Fresh Prince, you know, just kept going and going to this mega superstar. He always just stayed with what made him happy. And like, to me, he's one of the ultimate DJs, just period. And his style and his timing is just impeccable. Like, anybody could choose records, anybody could throw records back and forth. You know, I got some guys that can scratch their behind off, but if I put them in the middle of a party, they don't know what to do. Or like, I got party rockers that if I take them to this city, they're not gonna really know how to adapt to the music that's going on. Jeff is just like, to me, he's the ultimate. I've definitely, him and Cash Money, but it was just like Jeff had a little bit more polish on his thing than Cash Money. And you gotta remember that these were local guys to us, like them, EST, just everybody coming out of Philly. These were people that would be at our high school performing.